Aloha and good morning. Welcome to the House Economic Development Committee. We're holding our first hearing today at 10 a.m. Wednesday, February 1st in room 423. First, we'll just take care of a little bit of housekeeping. In order to allow as many people to testify as possible, we'll be implementing a 2-minute time limit per testifier. I'll let you guys know if you go over the time. And please know that committee members have received and read your testimony, so if you'd prefer to stand on your testimony, that would be appreciated by the committee members. And as we're continuing our hybrid system with Zoom and live testifiers, I'd like to ask members on Zoom to stay muted with your video off while waiting to testify and after your testimony is complete. And please avoid any profanity and from using any trademarked or copyrighted images in your background. And with that, we'll get started. Our first measure is HB 276 relating to taxation. First up, we have DOE tax with comments.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. My name is Kathy Nee, and I'm representing the Department of Taxation. The Department of Taxation stands on its written testimony. I'm available for any questions. Thank you for allowing us to testify.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Turo in support.
We'll stand on our written testimony in support. We're available for questions should they arise.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Tom Yamachika, Tax Foundation of Hawaii, with comments on Zoom.
Thank you very much, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Tom Yamachika from Tax Foundation. We view this bill as creating a tax credit, and a tax credit in this situation, I think, is not a very desirable mechanism to achieve what you want, because you don't know what you're paying for and you don't know what you're getting. For example, the credit would presumably be available to a store with like lots of parking in a rural area that nobody's going to ever use, but you still have to pay for it. Or actually, we, the taxpayers, would be paying for it. So we believe that other devices, such as an appropriation or some more targeted means to purchase spaces where they're needed, would be, I think, much more meaningful. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Next, we have testimony from Enterprise Holdings in opposition.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Matt Sujimura on behalf of Enterprise Rent-A-Car. You have our written testimony, but the one thing I do want to point out is to provide a tax credit specifically to peer-to-peer companies would at best create a business advantage for those companies over traditional rental car companies, and at worst would potentially incentivize commercial property owners to lease space to peer-to-peers over rental car companies, which right now rental car companies do have to pay full value for all of those stalls, and none of the commercial property owners receive such a tax credit at this time. But happy to answer any questions. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And we have Get Around in support. On
Hello.
Zoom.
Hi. Aloha, chairs, vice chairs, and members of the committee. Mahalo for the opportunity to testify today. My colleague Adrian Moretz and I, we stand by our written testimony and we are available for questions.
Thank you very much. That's all the testimony we have submitted. Do we have anybody else wishing to testify on this measure? If not, members, do we have any questions?
I have a question.
Representative Nakamura.
Thank you, Chair. I have a question for the Turo representative. Hi, thank you for being here. I wanted to ask you about the location. Is there anything in the bill that describes where these tax credits would be located? Anything relating to where the need might be the greatest, or yeah, I guess that's.
Sure. No, thank you for the question, Representative or Leader. At this time, I don't believe that the bill has any sort of geographic specificity tied to it. In terms of where the need may lie, I don't have that information in front of me, but I'm happy to follow up accordingly.
Okay. Chair, I have a follow-up question.
Yes, please.
Also, one of the concerns raised by DOTAX
Mhm.
is that there should be some specification on the number of stalls so that there can be estimates of what the tax credit would cost the taxpayers.
Mhm.
In the bill, is there any specification on the number of stalls or percentage of stalls per, let's say, commercial parking lot?
Sure. Again, we would, respectfully defer to the committee in terms of what is sort of financially viable for should this credit move forward.
Okay, and then, I guess the last related question was, would you require the parking lot owner to designate the stall, or would it be a free-flowing sort of percentage of stalls at any given time kind of consideration?
I don't know if I can speak on behalf of the commercial property owner to which the tax credit would extend. What I would say is, should this measure move forward, I think that we would do everything internally within our power to try and encourage our hosts to utilize these stalls, given that there is a credit applied to them.
So you could go either way. You would want a fixed stall, or would you want it a free-flowing kind of situation with the property owner?
I think that, and again, I would have to look more into that. I believe, though, that if there were dedicated stalls available, which could be utilized for various hosts, it may address the underlying issue altogether.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Peart.
Just to clarify, this measure is requiring hosts of stalls to designate stalls, or
This measure, to my understanding, would offer a tax credit in exchange for commercial properties that designate stalls for peer-to-peer car sharing. Yeah. Thank you for the question, Representative.
I guess I'll just ask then,
Sure.
As noted in Enterprise testimony, they pay full price for their stalls, so why should we give peer-to-peer sharing a tax credit?
Thank you for the question, Chair. I think that what I would point out is a couple things. One is, I think that we are seeing the benefits of peer-to-peer car sharing as a form of multimodal transportation. I think that we envision and contemplate peer-to-peer car sharing in this broader theme of how we better utilize our cars and vehicles throughout our state. And I think that it addresses this issue or some of the concerns that may be related to parking. I think that there are additional taxes if we do a side-by-side comparison between rental cars and peer-to-peer car sharing, where we either have parity or in some instances the rental cars have a slight advantage as it pertains to, say, for example, the retail vehicle surcharge tax that our hosts pay.
Another question.
Sure.
As we're moving towards a more, taking care of our environment and such, what percentage of peer-to-peer car shares are electric vehicles?
That's a great question, Chair. I'd have to get back to you on that. What I would say is, I think that, generally speaking, as consumer attitudes change and embrace more of an EV approach, you're going to see the fleet hosts start to transition toward EV vehicles. Again, it's less centralized than, say, a rental car alternative in terms of we don't own the vehicles necessarily, right? I'll also just say that one of the good points of peer-to-peer car sharing is allows users or guests to be able to try and experiment with what driving an EV would be like, right? So, for example, if you're trying to try out a Nissan Leaf or a Tesla, you can rent it out for a week or share it for a week and have the opportunity to experience that before actually moving forward with purchasing an EV vehicle.
Okay, thank you. And last one, the DOTAX has recommended to make the tax credit non-refundable.
Mhm.
Would that affect your guys' position on this measure?
We would defer, again, to the committee on that.
Thank you. Any other questions from the members? If not, thank you very much. Move on to the next measure. House Bill 514, relating to price transparency. First up, we have Tom Yamachika, Tax Foundation, with comments.
Thank you, Chair, members of the committee. Tom Yamachika from Tax Foundation. We'll pretty much stand on a written testimony. We are concerned about the complexity that we're going to make retailers do a lot of work for a questionable benefit. Furthermore, we are concerned that just asking for the GE tax to be listed on the price tag won't be a complete solution, because there's also the county surcharge to be dealt with, which again is different for each county, or could be potentially different from each county. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Next, we have Tina Yamaki, Retail Merchants of Hawaii, with comments.
Not present.
Not present. Okay. Members, any questions? Or is there anybody else that wants to testify on this measure? Members, questions?
One question.
Representative Kong.
For Tom Yamachika, Tax Foundation.
Yes, sir.
Oh, hello, Tom. I guess we spoke about this already, but the purpose in the long run is to educate the consumer, or even us legislators, about the difference between a GE tax and a sales tax. So in the future, when they speak about, all these campaign promises about eliminating the food tax, that becomes very ominous to the other businesses out there that may have to bear the burden of any other tax increase in the future to offset the elimination of the GE tax for food. Any case, my question is, sorry, I digressed, but my question is, you mentioned the county tax on the other islands, because I'm not familiar with. I know on Oahu, we paid directly to the state the 4.5% GE tax. On the other islands, do they separate the GE tax from the county surcharge?
A representative, each county has the option of setting their own
Correct.
surcharge amount by ordinance. So I believe Maui County doesn't, but everybody else charges 0.5. There was a point at which Hawaii County, the Big Island, charged 0.25%, but then they kind of went with the flow and imposed 0.5% like almost everybody else. My concern, as expressed in the testimony, is that none of these amounts are currently contemplated within the bill as it's now drafted.
Correct.
So you would have a price, and you'd have a GE tax, and then the customer would be confused because they're going to be paying more than the sum of the two things that would be shown on the price tag.
But the payment to the counties still goes to the state first, correct?
Yes, the retailers do pay the state first, and the Department of Tax, through its processes, then pays the counties.
Okay, understood. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any further questions? If not, we'll move on to the next agenda item. House Bill 395, relating to the Hawaii Technology Development Corporation. First up, we have a bunch of people who said they will not be here to testify. We have UH, All in Support, Blue Startups in Support, Ocean Air in Support, Pacmar Technologies, Ocean People, The Patisserie, Premier Solutions, and Chamber of Commerce in here to testify in support.
We'll stand on a written testimony.
Thank you very much. Hawaii Food Products in support, Experience Solutions in support, Marine Genetics in support, Hawaii Fish Company in support, Televoice 2000 in support, Guide Star Engineering in support, Hawaii Farm Bureau in support, Original Media in support, Makai Ocean Engineering in support, and HTDC in support in person.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Len Higashi from Hawaii Technology Development Corporation. I want to thank the Chair and the committee for hearing this bill. This is one of HTDC's core programs that has proven good economic development value for the state. We'll stand on our testimony and available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Len. We also have Referential Systems in support, Cole Bakery in support, Oceanit Laboratories in support on Zoom.
Good Good morning, Representative. Chair. Oceanette stands on its written testimony in support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have Mana up in support, Conan Wykes in support, and Ann Chung in support. Is there anybody else wishing to testify on this measure? Members, do we have any questions?
Sorry, I have a question.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Chair. I have a question for Mr. Higashi. Just out
Thank
of
you.
curiosity, wanted to find out, every year you have a grant application process
Correct.
for this program. And then what's the demand for the grant versus how much funds you have available?
Oh, thank you. And I'd be happy to follow up with the list with the specifics.
Yeah.
But it's roughly, the amount that we are appropriated varies, between 1 million and 2 million. Most years we have between $5 and $10 million of requests. So we're funding less than half of what is requested of us. And that is matched by, federal funding, federal awards.
Can I ask one more question? So as a follow-up to that question, then, of the grants, the 5 to 10 million that you receive, how strong are the grants? You're only limited to the 1 or 2 million that you can award, but do you consider the grant applications strong and worthy of funding?
Well, let me back up a step and describe this program. So the Small Business Innovation Research Program is considered America's Seed Fund. You see that in the testimony. Highly competitive, and it is a federally administered. So only the best of the best win. We are taking those applicants who are successful in securing the federal award and considering them for a state match. So they've already been vetted by the federal government. I think the percentage is 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 applicants are awarded. So it's highly competitive. Therefore, every grant applicant that comes to the state has already been vetted by the federal government. Our agency evaluates that on economic development potential and other considerations as we try to, expand this program statewide.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair.
Thank you. Any further questions? Thank you, Lynn. All right, on to the next agenda item, HB 396, relating to the Hawaii Technology Development Corporation. And since I know you're here, we'll just take you first, Len.
Thank you. We'll stand on our written testimony in support of this measure.
Okay, we'll also just take the Chamber of Commerce in support.
Is that a written testimony? Thank you.
And the patisserie in support on Zoom. Maybe not. Okay. And we have the whole list, basically the same list from last time in support, a good 20 organizations in support of this measure. Is there anybody else who wishes to testify in person or on Zoom? If not, do we have any questions from the members? Nope. Thank you very much. Move on to the next one, HB 397, relating to the Hawaii Technology Development Corporation. First up, Chamber of Commerce.
We'll stand on our written testimony in support.
And next, Len Higashi, HCDC.
Thank you. We'll stand on our written testimonies.
Thank you very much. Anybody else wishing to testify on this measure? Members, any questions? If not, thank you. Move on to the next measure, HB 561, relating to tax credits. First up, Tom Yamachika of Tax Foundation with comments.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Tom Yamachika from Tax Foundation. We have concerns about whether this bill is going to do anything at all, because normally a current legislature can't bind a future one. So if a future legislature were to act a bill with neither a sunset nor a phase out, it would still be effective, even though this measure had been passed and signed into law. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Will Karen in opposition. Doesn't say he's here to testify. Do we have anybody else wishing to testify on this measure? If not, do we have any questions? Seeing none, we will recess for decision-making. Reconvening economic development hearing for decision making. First up, we have House Bill 276 relating to taxation. This measure, we are going to be moving it forward with the defective date. We are also going to be taking the Department of Taxation's recommendation to make it a non-refundable credit. We did take into consideration the other amendments proposed by the department, but we'll leave that up to the next committee to take that up. And so we'll be moving HB 276 out with amendments. Members, any questions, comments, or concerns? Majority Leader.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. While I support the idea of mobility hubs, I think this is the way we should be moving in the future. I'm concerned about the need to identify where the need is the greatest to extend these credits. The need to clarify how the credit would be administered by either designating a place within a commercial parking stall or whether it's going to be free-flowing, and specify whether there's going to be a time period in which these stalls will be available. So within the year that they're getting the tax credit. So, but I do support the concept of having these mobility hubs where the demand is the greatest.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments? Representative Kong.
Thank you, Chair. I agree with the Majority Leader, but also I would like to add that I'm usually not in favor too much of tax credits in general because just of the nature of the game. So in any case, I'll be going with reservations.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Chair.
Any further questions, comments, concerns? If not, Vice Chair for the vote.
Members, we are voting on HB 276. Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Representative Hussey Burdick.
Aye.
Representative Sam Kong.
With reservations.
Representative Nadine Nakamura. Sorry.
With reservations?
Representative Quinlan.
Aye.
And Representative Pierrick.
Aye.
Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you very much. Next up is House Bill 514 related to price transparency. After discussion with the introducer of the measure, it's not quite ready for prime time, but thank you very much. We'll work on this measure and take it up at a later date. So we'll be deferring House Bill 514. House Bill 395 related to Hawaii Technology Development Corporation. We will be deferring the date to July 1st, 3000. And so recommendation is to pass House Bill 395 out with amendments. Any questions, comments, concerns? Yes. Representative Pierrick.
I want to thank those in favor of the bill and thank the person who enters the bill. Just from a like a philosophy perspective, one of my hopes is to decrease the government, decrease the state budget, so appropriating funds towards promoting small businesses. Just from my humble perspective, it would be counterintuitive of that perspective, so my hope is that the private sector would expand without government assistance. So,
Thank you very much. Any further questions, comments, concerns from the members? If not, House Bill 395 with amendments.
Members, we are now voting on HB 395, noting the no vote or with reservations, or just
Just ask.
there's a no vote. Okay, noting the no vote from Representative Pierik. Anyone voting no on this measure? Anyone voting with reservations on this measure? All other members voting aye, Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. Same recommendation for House Bill 396. We're going to be passing with amendments, defecting the date to July 1st, 3000, and also with some technical amendments for clarity, consistency, and style. Members, any comments, questions, concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair, HB 396 with amendments.
We're now voting on HB 396. All members, I'm sorry, anyone voting no? One. Anyone voting with reservations? All other members voting aye, Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you very much. House Bill 397, relating to HTDC, also going to defect the date to July 1st, 3000, and that's it. No technical amendments on this one. So, House Bill, any questions, comments, concerns from the members? Representative Pierik.
just again, thank you all for testifying. Thank you for the originator of the bill, from the perspective of trying to decrease the government and decrease the public sector and trying to expand the private sector. I'm going to vote no.
Thank you. It's a no for Pierik. Any other members? Questions, concerns, comments? If not, Vice Chair, HB 397 with amendments.
Members, we are now voting on HB 397. Chair, Vice Chair vote aye. Noting the no vote from Representative Pierik. All other members vote aye, Chair. Your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. And last measure on the agenda, House Bill 561 relating to tax credits. We're also going to defect the date to July 1st, 3000. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair, HB 561 with amendments.
We are now voting on HB 561. The recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair, Vice Chair vote aye. Anyone voting no on this measure? No from Representative Elijah Pierik. Anyone voting with reservations? Representative Nakamura with reservations. All other members voting aye, Chair. Your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you very much, everybody. We are adjourned.